Welcome to Pivoting to Web3 Podcast, where experts break down AI, blockchain, and tech shaping our future. I'm Donna, and today's guest has insights you won't want to miss. Let's dive in. Welcome to Pivoting to Web3, and I've got a real gem here today because he is from my home area, New York City. And he come telling me that there's a certain restaurant still on the corner. I'm gonna go and say it, White Castle. I used to love me some White Castle, and it's still on the corner. I gotta say it. So, anyways, let me get back on track. I had to let you know who I'm talking to, but his name is William Hollis. And William is automating, raising money, scaling, doing everything he can do in real estate and bridging the gap between the technology and raising capital. And I haven't had that on Pivoting to Web3 yet. So I think he's going to be somebody that we want to listen to, talk to, and probably connect with. So, William, say hello to your audience and ours and just tell us how you ended up where you are today.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Donna. Happy to talk to a fellow New Yorker for sure. Not too many people know about the White Castle. Not too many. So
Yeah, let it out the bag.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I'm William Hollis. I go by Hollis. I grew up in Hollis, Queens. Believe it or not, a few blocks from Hollis Avenue. So the name kind of stuck. I started out. I've had a lot of different jobs in my life, but how I landed on being an entrepreneur, my dad kind of put this entrepreneurial bone in our body. When I probably 7 or 8 years ago, I started looking into really real estate investing, and I tried a few different things, did a few deals, but really what I wanted to do, what I wanted was the quote unquote passive income that everyone's after, right? We hear that term thrown around a lot. And so I was introduced to real estate syndications, which is basically if you think you see a giant apartment building, in your neighborhood, one person doesn't own that building, a bunch of people own that building together, and they kind of pool their money together to go out and buy
Hmm.
those large assets. And for a lot of those investors that have pooled that money, that is really passive income. They don't do anything. They don't deal with any of the three T's, the tenants, toilets, and trash. They don't have to deal with any of that stuff, right? So I said, okay, that's what I want to do. So I got started to get into this space and realized if you want to buy a big building, you're going to need some big money. So I started to learn how to raise capital. Um, all the while, I had this AI and software background. And so when I started to raise capital from my own real estate opportunities, I realized that there was very little technology being used in the field, especially when I got started. It's slightly better now, but especially back then, people had actual Rolodexes of numbers that they were called to try to, raise equity from. So I said, let me try to bring you guys into the 21st century and see what we can do. And so that's kind of was the organic growth of my company. It was just solutions I built for myself, and then I was able to deploy them for others in the space. And I was doing it, I believe it or not, for free for a very long time, just because I love technology. I'm a nerd at heart, and I like to build cool stuff. And then one day someone said, "Hey, would you do this faster if I paid you for it?" And I said, "I probably would." So, thus, Raise AI was born. That's our company now. We use AI and automation to help raise capital for private equity investment opportunities.
So thank you so much for that explanation. So for those that are listening that are in real estate, and that's quite a few folks out there today, either they're flipping, wholesaling, or counting doors, and they're in that space, you have AI in the market. I've had a couple of guests talk about AI and urbanization, development. How specifically should we be looking at AI in the real estate market? How does that improve? Is it in the search? Is it in aligning of the type of property you're looking at? Or give us a little bit more. Could you paint the picture or a use case and how AI and real estate come together?
Absolutely. So I'll take you. Really, AI can be involved in as many areas that you're willing to plug it into. I'll give you two or three different use cases here.
Okay.
On the acquisition side, right? One of our clients underwrites, and by underwrite I mean like kind of doing an analysis of roughly 150 properties per week previously. So that's him finding these opportunities, whether they're sent to him by a broker or he's looking on the internet on his own,
Mm-hmm.
and he's taking those numbers, those properties, plugging the numbers into his spreadsheet and analyzing those deals to see if he wants to, move forward and make an offer or not. Now, leveraging AI, he's analyzing 150 properties per day.
Oh,
So, as you can imagine, that's just taking weekdays, right? That's 5x his ability to analyze deals and to get eyes on opportunities. Now, taking that a level deeper, AI has the ability, obviously, to pull data real time from data sources. So now your underwriting isn't just estimation. You can get real time estimates for things like repair costs, for different debt products that you might need to use. You can get real time estimates. So you have more underwriting that's able to be done and more accurately. Take it a step further, the AI is also able to reach out to the property owner or real estate agent or broker who sent you the opportunity with a letter of intent for purchase of that property. So if you think about it, zoom out a little bit, you say, okay, we underwrote 1,000 properties this week,
mm-hmm.
and the AI knows my buy box, we call it, right? My criteria for purchase. It found those properties, underwrote them with real time insights.
Wow.
Then it sent letters of intent to all the good ones. By the end of the week, let's say I sent out of 100 properties, probably sent out 7 offers, realistically. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Out of 1,000 properties, you sent out 7 offers, and now you have a response back on 3 of them. You
Wow.
are ready to potentially buy 3 properties, and you didn't actually have to intervene as a person, right? So um, that's on the acquisition side. On the capital raising side, we're able to do something similar. We're able to train the AI on what types of investors would be interested in the investment that you're offering in your real
Mm-hmm.
estate or whatever kind of private equity investment you may have. We're able to train it on who would be interested in that. Now we're able to use that data to put together ads or marketing campaigns to reach out to those people specifically. When those people engage with those marketing campaigns, the AI is able to act as kind of a junior level salesperson, you could call it, um, to engage that person, answer any preliminary questions they have, and have them schedule a call with an investor relations agent um, for one of the private equity companies. So that call is scheduled. That lead came in, was educated and nurtured before a human even had to intervene. So that's increasing the number of leads that are coming in and the speed to closing that capital as well. And there's a bunch more things, but I won't hog all the airtime here.
No, you can hog the airtime because right now we're learning, okay? Trust me, we didn't miss the beat. So, with all the speed and efficiency and effectiveness, it really does save time and maximize opportunities and minimizing costs. So, those that have a fear of being replaced, I always felt the best way to look at it is you get enhanced with enhanced results in your process or your workflow or who you are. So, with that said, and you've had a lot of success, with that success, are there any areas that you've seen that concern you, or an area where you wish there was more development or people paid more attention to it? I guess, what do you raise your eyebrows at today?
In the world of AI, all of it. So, so
Okay.
let me level set. I've been working in this industry, I like to say before it was cool. So 2013, I got a job at what was at one time the number one or one of the top, I'll say one of the top AI solution companies, enterprise level AI solution companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we consulted for JP Morgan Chase, E-Trade, PNC building AI and automated solutions at that level. Back then, AI was not all that intelligent. It was good, but it was not that good.
Okay.
um, Now, AI is very good, very, very good. There were originally a few rules in the AI community that we said we wouldn't break. I'll give you 2 of them. Don't give it access to the internet, and don't teach it how to code. And we
Oh,
did both of
we
those
did
things.
both of those.
Um, Now, when I say concerned, it is because, and this goes with any piece of technology, right? Anyone with malicious intent will find a way to exploit the
Mm-hmm.
technology, and AI has made technology in general, very exploitable. Um, I'll tell you where I'm not concerned, conversely, is with the loss of employment because every technology boom removes opportunities and creates new ones. So there's a stat that I might be misquoting it here, but there's a stat that in 1914, 60% of the jobs that exist today did not exist back in 1914.
Hmm.
Right? So I'm sure the flip side of that is 60% of the jobs that existed back then don't exist anymore, right? And that's just because technology grew. My mother is a great example of that. My mother was a secretary for the CEO of Bell South. She was the type of secretary that used to go in with her pen and pad and, write correspondence from the CEO just by hand. And then the typewriter came along, and I'm so sure all the secretaries thought, oh no, we're going to
Yeah,
be
what happened to my shorthand?
so my mother taught me shorthand. Yeah, that's a perfect reference.
Hey, I'm there. I'm there. Okay, I got it. Just like the White Castle.
But I mean, yes, are secretaries really a thing? Not in the way that they used to be, but those people simply had to learn other skills
Mm-hmm.
and go do other things with the new technology that was available. So, um, those are kind of some of my fears, but at the same time, I think there's a lot of positive, like I said, especially when it comes to the fear that a lot of people have of, being replaced by AI.
So if it's okay with you, I want to go back and talk about why didn't you want it to have access at the internet? Even though that's what we ended up doing, because it's going around the internet now as we speak. But what was the concern that that was one of the two things you weren't going to do and did it anyway?
Yeah, because we always do that, right? That's human beings for you. That's human beings for you. Well, one, AI currently has the ability to present misinformation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to propagate misinformation in a more prolific way than ever before. So let's just say, for example, I wanted to attempt to manipulate an election, right? Because my AI has access to the internet, I can have it go out and find specifically the kind of messaging that will sway a certain group of people in a certain direction because AI has not only access to the internet, but the ability to code. And now there's AI virtual machines. I can have it go create 5 million Facebook users that will push this agenda that I have in a very human like way. It won't
Mm,
seem like it's a machine saying these things to you, but it will be a machine, se- more machines than we could stop.
mm-hmm.
And so, in a large way, when AI has access to the internet and the ability to code, technically it has the ability to go off and create things unsupervised, right? Having the ability to code means that AI could set up a website and do business by itself if I program it to.
That's scary.
Now, that opens up some serious security risks and vulnerabilities, not only maliciously, though. I could unwittingly create something malicious. Um, but I won't scare the people.
So
We're
if you don't
working,
want to scare them,
we
if you don't
got it
want
in
to,
check.
okay. So we're gonna be careful on what we say. But I've been wanting to ask somebody this question or delve into this, as AI would say. Let's delve in. Um, my question is, do you think society has been engineered to be where we are today? I'm going to use that term, engineered.
I'm not maybe the best person to speak on it, but from what I can tell, absolutely.
Okay, we'll leave it there. I've always just kind of thought about it from a business process standpoint or culture change standpoint. And when I look at where we are and where we've come from, I just always wondered, is there a possibility that we've been engineered over the last 10, 15, 20 years, why we turned the way we are?
Since the Second World War, really since the first, but the Second World War and the boom of, I'll take it back. I'm going to say the First World War because that triggered a boom of marketing and technological growth that was just not seen before.
Right.
And those are the two things you need to engineer a society. You need propaganda and technology that can propagate that propaganda in a very prolific way.
Right. So let's get back to Web3 and AI. So we don't want to turn this into a conversation that may not be able to maneuver between the cracks too well. So at the end of the day, so here we are, we're in real estate, and you have blockchain, and blockchain has smart contracts coming. Have you done anything with smart contracts yet? Have you
I
heard
have
about that?
I have heard about it. I have not done anything with it yet.
So I'm curious to know. We won't go the blockchain direction. Let's go back into the AI space in real estate. What biases have you seen in AI, and can we fix them? Can we correct them, or have they improved since AI has come to market, especially in the real estate space? What do we need to be concerned about, or what can be
Yeah,
modified?
for sure, for sure. So, um, I'll talk about two different lanes here because when you say bias, I think kind of human bias toward AI, but then
Mm-hmm.
also AI itself can have biases. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, with human bias towards AI, I think really it comes down to our fear of change. I think AI is pretty it's a pretty scary thing just in general, even on the good it can accomplish and how fast it can do it, right? That's a pretty scary thing. I think people are fairly resistant, especially in the real estate space where you're talking about such large sums of money, right? So typically in our client base for Raise AI, it's not unusual for one of our clients to have an investor who's sending over 200, 300, $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
When you're dealing with such large sums of money, you want to make sure you have an eye in all the details and really be able to touch everything that's going on. And using AI can remove some of that, right? Because you're relying on this intelligence to handle certain interactions or to know when to do certain things. That being said, at the end of the day, and we see it in our within our client pool, those who are more willing to adopt the technology will simply move faster and be able to accomplish more, especially as time goes on. And it's a
Mm-hmm.
matter of competition, right? It's kind of like you're in this NASCAR race and some people are deciding to use this component that helps them go a little faster. And some people are saying, no, I'm a better driver. I can do this by myself. And eventually the people with that little component are gonna, you
They're
know,
gonna win.
they're gonna win. At the end of the day, they're gonna win. So that's the viewpoint I encourage everyone to adopt when it comes to AI. It's like, listen, this is here. If I don't begin to at least begin to understand how it works in very little time, and by very little I mean 5 years time, you'll have no chance. You'll just everyone will be running circles around you. Um, so you don't need to be an early adopter, but be an adopter. Be an
Mm.
adopter.
So when you contacted Pivoting to Web3, what message was it that you really wanted to share, that you wanted to get out there in regards to what you're doing or the projects you're involved with or the vision that you see with real estate and AI?
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up because really, kind of the gospel that I preach to people is to lean in. Don't be afraid of it. Lean in. And you brought up a point. I can't remember if it was before the show or not, but it's a matter of letting AI enhance your natural skills and abilities. So that actually brings us kind of full circle into the biases that AI might
Mhm.
have, um, because this is something that I really want people to understand. You get out of an AI what you put in at the end of the day. You get out of an AI what you put in. The best thing that any of us can do, whether you're entrepreneur, investor, executive, whatever position you might have, or whatever career you might have, is learn how to speak to AI effectively. It's they call it prompting,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that's just a fancy word for how you speak to AI. And learning how to speak to AI effectively might become one of the single most valuable skills that we can have over the next 10 years, because that is how you maximize the results, how you maximize the intelligence the AI uses in your behalf, is by knowing how to ask it the question in the first place.
So, for those that are listening, let me share this. The conversation that I have with AI now is not the same conversation I had last year. The conversation has improved what I put into, as you're saying, William, how you communicate with AI. I had a guest come on, the CEO of Delish, and she said to me, AI became her best friend. Her friend, her boyfriend, her girlfriend, and everybody is all right there. So that brings me to this question because I see it now. My question started being nice. Thank you. Please. Oh, that was great. Thank you. You're wonderful. Please continue. Would you like me to do this, this, this? I really would like it all. Is that okay? Talk to it like you got a person there. Be really polite, fluff it up when you need to, edification to help, but be specific as if you were talking to your best friend or an employee that you want to keep for a long time around. So, with that said, how did reasoning come in? How did the reasoning start developing in AI? I've always wanted to ask somebody that question. And since you've been engineering and you've been in all the solutions, you seem like the best guy to ask right about now. Like I say, the great one to ask. That's what I was about to say. So let me just give you some edification on that one. How did reasoning come in here? Because it seemed like I'm talking to a real person.
It's incredible. It's incredible. The models that are available now. I kid you not, when I first started, the big thing that AI was able to do was natural language processing, NLP.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first job I had, entry level position, was improving the AI's natural language processing. But back then, the AI was really a glorified search tool. Really, at the heart of it, when you pull back all the layers, it was really just glorified search, because it didn't really have the ability to make connections or form new connections between
Mm-hmm.
disparate pieces of data, right? Um, this is still many years ago, but after, I want to say, 2013-ish, at least that's when I started to hear about it. That's kind of when OpenAI was in its infancy. These neural nets became a thing. And to break it down, a database is very structured, like line by line, and all the information is processed in a very structured way. If you want to make a connection, you need to have a very specific path between this database and this information and that information. Neural nets are the opposite of that. Neural nets are like, here's this data kind of, if you think about it, in a cloud form, and the AI is able to make connections between pieces of data based on the things contained within them. And now that was like the infancy of of these reasoning models, right? So now these models are able to use essentially prediction for simple terms, but to make these connections and to understand at a deeper level what it is that you're asking for.
So
And
that's the is that I'm sorry, is that the neural networks?
yeah, yep,
Okay.
yeah. And that was the kind of the foundation of it anyway. And as it's able to make these connections. And the beauty of it really is the amount of data that it's able to analyze that increases the likelihood that it's able to understand what it is you're talking about. So AI that we use right now is still very much probability based, but the more data it's able to consume, the better it is at making sure that it lands on the right side of that probability of knowing what it is that you need. And Now it can compare your need to millions and millions of other needs of other data points and say, okay, if she asked me, for example, if she asked me how long should I cook a chicken breast, she probably needs some recipes as well. Because the last
Mm,
time that was the next thing somebody asked me was for a recipe. And if she needs recipes, maybe she'll need a grocery list. Maybe she needs me to buy the groceries. But it's had so many repetitions. You know what I mean? It has
right.
so much practice. And that's really the key behind the reasoning.
Okay, so from the reasoning, you now have the personalization taking place in AI, especially on the retail side, is very beneficial. um, for someone to know that this is your customer that's been very frequent. And when they come in, they buy certain items. And if they're buying these items, they might want these pair of pants. And if they buy these pair of pants, this is the type of pants they like. And this is the designer they wear. And these are the colors they wear. So if, why don't we go ahead and get that guy at a tie that he didn't look at yet, but he's going to like? Is that how that all kind of developed?
Exactly. That's exactly that. And that's exactly why ads are so effective. And also how you can engineer a society.
Ah, we all went all the way around. Okay.
But yeah, no, to your point, that's exactly how it works. It's analyzing massive data sets to identify patterns, um, where, before we had no real ability to do that. If you did it, it'd take forever or you'd find one or two insights. But now there's enough compute out there to analyze incredible amounts of data.
Okay, so even though I didn't want to get into this, but you brought it back a second time and we then came back to engineering society. That's a good conversation. I know that's a good conversation, but I don't know if it's for this show. But okay, so here you have society who's gone through a culture change. And we've got AI in the mix. And everybody's getting their news from wherever they want to get their news because they like the support and the alliance and the connection they feel with those like-minded people. So everybody's in their own silos. And here comes AI. La 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 down the street. Coming into the culture. So not only could you have AI, but those that really wanted to manipulate everything anyway utilize the AI in a manner that magnify some things, diminish some things, and then start using emotion and content. Okay.
So
Okay.
I'll say this. I heard this from another creator. I believe she's from New York as well. I can't remember her full handle on Instagram. It's Nikki something. Um, she had this phrase that says, "Whoever has the content has the credibility." That's the society that we live in. Previously, is whoever had the experience had the credibility, right? Whoever had the skill, whoever had the track record had the credibility. We no longer live in that society in the age of social media. This is nothing to do with AI. It's social media captures so much attention, right? And it's so good at feeding you micro bits of news and micro bits of information. And the algorithms, even before AI came into them, the algorithms are so dialed into what we pay attention to, that whoever has the ability to proliferate content has the credibility, they have the attention, they have the eyeballs, right? So it's a pretty interesting time to be alive.
So now let's circle on back to the real estate and raise AI. So you have raise AI in the real estate and the ability to elevate and raise capital. So if anybody got any sense today, what do you want to tell them so they can do what they need to do with the AI and the real estate and get some capital and get moving in life?
Absolutely. So one of the biggest fears I want to address is that people believe AI will mishandle, well, two things actually. People believe one, AI will mishandle investor relationships, and they believe that the investors don't want to talk to an AI, right?
Hmm.
So they think the AI is going to fumble the relationship, which it can if it's not properly prompted, which is why I said The first thing is learn how to talk to the AI so you can teach it to interact in the way that you want it to. But second, we have this belief that, oh, if I send a text message or there's a back and forth text exchange with Donna and Donna's not going to like that I'm using an AI. Research has shown that 40% of people would prefer to speak to an AI. Prefer. Not to mention whatever percentage don't care either way as long as it does whatever it is that they set out to do, which is probably the other 60 is like, whatever, bro. Like, just do the
Just
thing.
give me the transaction. Okay.
Yeah. Just do the thing. Who cares? Right. So, um, that's again, that's probably born of an internal limiting belief rather than someone
Mm-hmm.
coming up to them and saying, "Oh, you're using AI. Don't ever do that again." Um, it's probably born of like more of an internal fear. However, you have to know when to use AI and when not to use AI. And specifically, I'm talking about conversational AI or chat AI, which is a huge thing that we use on the investor relations side. There are certain circumstances when you should just have it talk to a person. Just go talk to a person. Don't try to put AI in the mix. Those circumstances are anything that triggers a deep emotional response in the end user. I'll give you an example. In real estate, if an investor messages in and says, "Hey, I did not receive my distribution for this quarter." That's not a moment for AI to back and forth and ask questions and investigate. No. Okay, this person was expecting money and they didn't get the money.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just have them talk to a person who can de-escalate the situation and guarantee a positive result. The time savings of the 15-minute conversation is not worth an irate person, right? So we would see this all the time where people would, back in the day message in and say, "Oh, my phone is not working." And the AI bot would be like, "Oh, okay, well, what's the issue? Can I do this or can I do that?" It's like, bro, my phone doesn't work. Can I just fix it now? I don't want to have this bot interaction. I need a human who's going to help me resolve my problem immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So while I do believe in AI, obviously, like we recommend everyone use it, also understand when it's time to reel it in, program it to stop, like know when to shut up and just hand the conversation to a real person.
Okay. So that's good to know. And that has happened probably to a lot of people too. So how can people reach out to you or chat with you? Who's your customer? Who do you work with?
Real estate private equity companies that have more than 10 million under management are our primary client who we serve. We serve a lot of people in adjacent real estate verticals as well. Lenders who are looking to find, more borrowers, real estate community leaders. If you have a community, real estate investment community, and you're looking to bring people into that community, those sorts of things. I'm very active on LinkedIn. I try to respond to every message that's not a sale, a pitch. So definitely shoot me a message on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to connect.
Okay. So thank you so much for being with us. And I've learned a lot. I'm sure our audience has learned a lot. And I appreciate the heads up in certain areas. And thank you for talking to us. This is William Hollis and Donna Mitchell on Pivoting to Web3, and we're shaping tomorrow together. Thanks for tuning in to Pivoting to Web3 Podcast. If you're a developer, innovator, or AI expert with insights to share, or if you're looking to partner, let's connect. Visit MitchellUniversalNetwork.com and be part of the conversation. Want more content? Check out my playlist for more episodes. See you next time.